Dear students, welcome to this session 5 on business ethics. So, what we'll be learning in today's session is the concept of bold ethics. What do we mean by the normative themes like what is consequentialism, non-consequentialism? We'll be learning about the shareholder, stockholder, social contract theory, and how is ethics related to religion. Ethics. Now, moving ahead, we will see that there are three theories of normative ethics. They are the stockholder theory, stakeholder theory, and the social contract theory. So let's have a closer look at them one by one. Okay, so moving on to the first theory, that is the stockholder theory. Now, what does the stockholder theory say? The stockholder says that this theory, first of all, it is also known as the shareholder theory or the agency theory. So over here, this theory looks at a closer. Okay, so like I was telling you, this concept, this theory is also called as shareholder agency theory. Over here, this theory is also known as shareholder theory because over here it is seen that businesses, they are mere arrangements in which the shareholders or a group of people, they're advancing some capital to another group, the another group being the business people. So these shareholders, when they advance the capital, the entire intention is that their capital should be maximized, or they should benefit by advancing such capital to these people. So over here the managers, they are empowered to manage the capital which is advanced by the shareholders, and over here they are bound by duty, to carry out this agency relationship between them, so that the underlying principles or the underlying objectives that these people have, the shareholders have, they should be met. So this theory, this was summarized by Milton Friedman, who asserted that there is only one social responsibility of businesses, that responsibility being to use these resources and engage in activities that are designed to increase its profits, so long as it stays within the rules of the game. So to these businesses, they should create an open and free competition without deception or fraud, and then they should think of maximizing the capital which has been advanced by these shareholders. But again, this concept of stockholder theory or the shareholder theory has been criticized. This has been criticized because it has been described as part of corporate law, which has lost its importance in modern times. So it has been regarded as foolish or impractical by many ethicists, which cannot be relied upon to secure the common good. So even in today's world, the government also, plays an important role of collecting taxes from corporates, which is used henceforth for good, public good. So therefore, there is no true free market in economy, which is prevailing these days. So again, if you look at it, this theory from a closer point of view, you'll see that it is based on false analogy. So if government of democratic societies, they have a moral justification to spend the taxpayers' money for promoting the common welfare of people without taking their consent, it might mean that even the businesses are also justified in carrying out social welfare activities without the consent of shareholders. So we see that this is based on wrong and far-fetched assumptions. Now moving on to the second theory, that is called as the stakeholder theory. Now, this theory, it argues that the corporate success in the marketplace can be best assured by catering to the interest of all stakeholders. So, all the stakeholders being internal and external. Internal being the company's own management and the employees. External being the suppliers, the shareholders, the customers. All these people when taken into consideration. So, the objective is achieved when an organization that adopts policies that ensure optimal balance among all stakeholders. So it stresses on the fact whether the management achieves its improved financial performance or not, the managers should promote the interest of all stakeholders. So it considers that an organization, it is an instrument for coordinating all the stakeholders interests, and considers managers as fiduciary, as having a fiduciary responsibility not only to shareholders but to all of them. So since all of them, they are there, since all the stakeholders, they some way support the business, so it is just not the responsibility of the business people to take cater to the interest of stockholders or the shareholders, but in general, they should cater to the interests of all the shareholders. Now, even this concept of stakeholder, This has two guiding principles. The first being that the principle of corporate legacy, and the second one being the principle of stakeholder fiduciary. Now let's first understand what is meant by principle of corporate legacy. According to this, we see that the corporation should be managed for the benefits of its stakeholders. All customers, suppliers, vendors, employees, local community. So the rights of these groups must be ensured, and further the group must participate in decisions that would affect or substantially affect their welfare. Talking about the second principle of the stakeholder fiduciary principle. This principle, it asserts that management bears a fiduciary relationship to the stockholders and to the corporation as an abstract entity. It must act in the interest of corporation to ensure the survival of the firm and safeguard the interest, the long-term stakes of each of these groups. So the criticisms of this concept is that, first of all, it is practically impossible to cater to the interest of stakeholders. There is comparatively less empirical evidence to suggest a linkage between stakeholders concept and corporate performance. And the major problem with this theory stems from the difficulty of defining the concept, like who really constitute the general stakeholders. So this is a list, if we talk about employees, the top management, the general public, the shareholders, the suppliers, the vendors. If we talk about everyone, then this is an expansive list of stakeholders. So it is also further argued as a criticism that the intent of the theory is better achieved by relying on the hand of management to deliver social benefit wherever it is required, rather than suggesting a wide range of stakeholders. So it can be criticized on the ground that it is extended to the right of stakeholders far too much. Right. Now coming to the third theory, that is the social contract theory. This theory is simply based on the principle of social contract, wherein it is assumed that there is an implicit agreement between the society and the organization or any such business unit, in which the business recognizes the existence of a condition that it will serve the interests of society in certain specified ways. This theory is drawn from the model of political social theories, which were propounded by Hobbes, Locke, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. So this theory is based on the assumed contract between businesses and members of the society. How is this relationship there? The society, it would advance in capital, or it would give them land, or it would give them employees, and then only an organization is making benefits. Then only an organization is making profits. So when you earn those profits, you need to repay it back as an agreement. You need to give it back to the society. So this is what the social contract theory is. Give me a minute. So we see in this theory, when members of the society, when they give legal recognition to the firms, the right, they also get a certain right. They also engage them in economic activity and earn profit by using the society's resources. Like I was telling you, they use the land, the raw material, the skilled labor. It obviously implies that the firms also owe an obligation to the society. This would imply that the business organizations are expected to create wealth by producing goods and services, generate income by providing employment opportunities, and enhance social welfare. So over here we see, as as consumers, members of the society, they benefit from the establishment in three ways. The business, they would provide economic efficiency by enhancing advantage of specialization. Secondly, we see that they offer stable levels of production and channels of distribution. Thirdly, we see that they provide increased liability resources which could be used to compensate consumers adversely affected by their products and services. Now, we see that business firms, they are likely to produce the social welfare element of social contract, and enjoying the business firm should act in such a manner so as to benefit consumers, benefit its employees, and ensure that pollution is avoided or natural resources are not depleted in a very fast manner, and the rights of the workers, even they are protected. Furthermore, even this theory was criticized. We'll have a closer look to some of the criticisms of this theory. So the criticisms of this theory are, the critics, they argue that social contract is no contract at all. Legally speaking, a contract, is agreement between two or more persons, which is legally impossible provided certain conditions are observed. A contract implied meeting of minds which does not exist in so-called social contract. It is neither an explicit nor an implicit contract. Okay, so now moving ahead to the next topic, that is how are ethics and religion interconnected. Major religions like Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, they have all, left their indelible marks on morality and conduct of people in every aspect of human endeavor and including businesses. So every religion, it has provided its own followers with its own sets of catechisms, moral instructions, belief, values, virtues, traditions, and commitments. So we'll have a closer look at each one of them one by one. So what are the teachings of church? Over here, the church, it has always supported and promoted the welfare of people. People often think how we can relate businesses and ethical teachings of the church, but now the trend has changed and organizations, institutions, they relate businesses to religion and ethics. So this transition is due to the increased importance of ethics in businesses. The church's concerns and ethical teachings, they are found in several papal encyclicals. Papal encyclicals, they are the letters that the Pope writes to its followers. So what is rerum neverum? So over here we see that since the late 19th century, there has developed a strong tradition of reflective thought on economic issues with Catholic Church. So this concern on economic issues effectively started in May 1891 with the publication of Rerum Novarum. So it was an encyclical by Pope Leo XIII. So the central theme of the letter was the relationship among the state, employers, and workers. So, the features of encyclical, what are they? So, it directs the state and organizations to perform their duties to the working class to avoid corruption or unethical behavior in society. Similarly, if a man is deprived of dignity and equality, then they will indulge in unethical practices. So, mutual support in the society and organization will help individuals to perform their best for productivity and profit. So this is the teaching. These are the teachings of the church. Now we see the Indian ethical tradition. So what? How has Hinduism brought about or talked about ethics? So the Hindu scriptures, like we know the Gita, the Upanishads, they speak of performance of right duty. At the right time and in the right manner. So, the rich Indian tradition has always emphasized the dignity of human life and the right to live in a respectful manner. So the Bhagavad Gita, cites numerous instances of how moral values, ethics can be incorporated into one's life. Many of its verses are directly significant for the modern manager who may be confused about his direction and struggling to find an answer to ethical dilemmas. So the Lord reiterates that work or karma is the driving force of life and that this work needs to be ethical. So in the chapter 2 verse 47, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. So the stanza implies that the performer of an action has to only perform the prescribed duty and not to think about the results of the action. But the result is beyond his control. So the teachings of Gita, they draws one's attention to the nishkarma, right? Further, we see the teachings of Gita, the message of Gita that is given in chapter 2, verse 56. One who is not disturbed in midst of the threefold misery or elated when there is happiness, or who is free from attachment, fears, or anger is called a sage of steady mind. So, a steady mind gives the right attitude, it gives the right direction. Detachment is a quality that enables the individual not to accept anything for his personal gratification, personal desires, conflicting interests end up in unethical practices. So the Gita's message in an organization, when applied to an organization where one is worried of the result, he is likely to fall into improper activities. On the other hand, if he is ready to do his duty to the utmost of his ability, then we see the result would be he would turn out to be an ethical person in the organization. All principles, if we talk in Islam, how does Islam preach ethics? So all principles covering business emanate from the Holy Quran as they are explained and amplified in Hadith, that is the collection of prophets say. So the Prophet Muhammad ordained that businesses should promote ethical and moral behavior and should follow honesty, truthfulness, fulfillment of trust and commitments while eliminating fraud, cheating, cutthroat competition, lending money at interest to people in need, and false advertising. So we see what is Sharia and the interest in capital. So Sharia, the canonical law of the followers of Islam, it forbids payments and the receipt of interest on capital and money lent on condemns usurious practices. So, Sharia, it requires that investors profit only from transactions based on the exchange of assets, not money alone. And therefore, over here, in Islam, the interest is banned. So we see what are the major principles of Islam and ethics. So the major principles are, it states that there should be no fraud, there should be no excessive oaths in sale, there is a need for mutual consent, then be strict towards weights and measures, monopoly is a sin, hoarding is forbidden, forbidden transactions of like intoxicants. So all these are banned, or all these are the wrongdoings as per the Islam. So what have these people preached is that all these things, they are unethical. So now we have a closer look at Islamic bonds or sukuk. So bankers sell Islamic bonds or sukuk by using property and other assets to generate income equivalent to interest they would pay on conventional debt. So the money cannot be invested on stocks of companies, which are selling alcohol or doing conventional financial services. So, like entertainment or poke meat, defense and weapons. So you can invest your money over here, but investing in stocks of companies like which are selling alcohol, or all these things, they are banned in Islam. So with this, we end Unit 1. Hope you people have understood. Thank you very much. So these are the references that I used in order to prepare this